Oh yeah, it's rat time, baby. Cyber Rats, a game I've been wanting to check out for a while, but my wheel of coverage had yet to land on it. But with a new expansion having its Kickstarter next year, I figured now's the perfect time to dive into it. Created by Alex Reinhardt and illustrated by friend of the channel, Boog, who happens to have commissions open pretty often and you should totally check out. Just saying. Before we begin in proper, I point you to the safety tools section of the game. It's a gutsy, gory game chock full of over-the-top violence, but this can be adjusted to your group as needed, so be sure to run it by your group. Now, to read from the opening to the game, you are genetically engineered operatives addicted to biotech, a glowing gel that gives you superhuman powers. The world is being invaded by extraterrestrials, known as interlopers. You have been employed by a megacorp to ensure that the aliens don't win, and that if they are stopped, it's you who does it, and not some rival corporation. Winning won't be easy, but it also won't be enough. The right corp must get credit. Can you stop the aliens? Will you sabotage the military to steal equipment and defense contracts from your competitors? How many operatives will you lose before you taste victory? The year is 2096. The situation is dire. All thought has been delegated to computers. Most of humanity works for one of three megacorps. After all, you gotta serve somebody, right? Until now, you've probably been a worker drone. Nothing special, just someone marginally cheaper to train than a machine is to program. But things are changing now. Now that the invaders are here, there's a lottery for soldiers, and your numbers just come up. Will you survive enough to become a soldier, or just long enough to realise what they've done to you? And goddamn does that go hard. And whilst it's not the first to do this, I absolutely love these types of settings and know plenty of you will too. As the intro implies, our operatives aren't exactly titans of power, and start off as basic as you can be, but much like its inspiration of XCOM, a fave game series of mine by the way, if you play smart and keep your wits about you, those once weak recruits can rise to greatness. But expect to go through a few before you can get one of those. In an interesting point, each player actually controls two operatives, each with their own sheets, and this helps balance out that death is a real threat in this game, and that odds are not all your units are making it through each battle. This game is based on the Lumen TTRPG framework, which you can get a more in-depth review of in a previous video here. But for a quick recap on Lumen mechanics, each character has stats that are each represented by a dice pool, where the number of that stat is how many dice you roll for said stat, which you then take the highest number rolled for your result. So let's look at what goes into a rat. All operatives start with a generic intern class that provides us full HP and free biotech, biotech being our resource used for powering our abilities. We start with our character's megacorp, each option providing a choice of powers, and of course a healthy amount of debt. What, do you think you can just be randomly selected to become a bioengineered super soldier for free? This is capitalism, baby! And our option of captors are gargoyle, software, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, manufacturing, data, all consolidated under gargoyle, one way or another. No one knows what all they control. Even their accountants can't keep track of all the shell companies. Dorsey, what started as a small entertainment company, has become the largest of the conglomerates, with a gloved finger in the pies of every sporting event, social media app, video game, and 3D movie in existence, as well as hooks in the education industry. And Golden Calf, started by JT Golden Calf. This company owns all of finance, loans, banking, stocks, and everything else you could use to barter. By extension, they probably own you as well. We then roll for debt. Yippee! Your starting debt is 10 plus 1d6, but this can be increased further by later options. We then get our funky mutator, and this is what wildly sets each character apart. And these are nuts, and each one provides a choice of powers to take alongside some fun physical traits for us. To quickly summarise each, we have Enlightened Rat Swarm, a literal hive mind of rats, Brute, a real big boy, and Cyborg, because would it be cyberpunk without body mods up the wazoo? We then have our usual Lumen free attribute spread, and in this game we have Smash for aggression and force, Cyber for mental and practice actions, and Sly for quick and stealthy actions. You get 5 points to distribute between the attributes, with the highest you're allowed to allocate being 3. You can choose to put 0 in an attribute, which when used you roll 2d6 and take the lowest result. This is weirdly nice to see, as a lot of Lumen systems tend to gloss over what happens when you just don't have a number in that stat. The consequences for these rolls are twofold. The first being based on the attribute used. A consequence for Smash is losing 1 HP, Cyber loses 1 biotech, and Sly is gaining a condition. The other is a standard Lumen situational consequence. In combat, this can be an enemy getting an action. Out of combat, this could be partially failing a sneak test, causing foes to be aware of an intruder, but not your exact location. We then can choose to increase our debt up to a max of 20, And for every additional point of debt you take, you'll get an equal number of gear parts, which is a currency used to purchase armor and weapons, and later on additional powers. And then our character's name. As an intern, you don't really get much in the way of rights, so you'll have to work your way through your first mission to be able to earn your proverbial stripes, and access more features like more specialized classes, and even a nickname. Following that, you can choose a motivation for why your characters are doing this, their inspiration and reason for being. Our options are debt, debt, and debt. We finally decide on the next of kin. Yes, you heard me right, as interns are treated as disposables, you're expected to die, and in case of death, you need a new operative to inherit any unspent resources. You don't have to make this character in full until you lose an operative, but it's always a good idea to remember this isn't a power fantasy game. It's a oh god please let me live kind of game in all the best ways. As mentioned, there are further upgrades, but we'll be returning to that later. So now that we have our rats, let's talk about the session structure. Expanding upon the base loop from Lumen, sessions are broken down into 4 sections: mission briefing, loadout and mission, performance review, and downtime. In mission briefing, the players are given a choice of 3 missions, and as a team you decide which one you want to play, which one to fail, and which one to resolve for your rolling. I feel the XCOM inspiration really strongly in this, as you can't be in multiple places at once, and you have to make decisions based around the state of your campaign. The outcome of these choices can have big impacts throughout your campaign, increasing and decreasing the threats and dangers alongside the strength of the different corps and factions. In some cases, certain factions could have a goal victory meter, and when they reach max, it could be all over for you. Missions are resolved in the following order: the primary mission, the one that you play, the secondary mission, the one rolled for, and the failed mission. This is part of why we have 2 operatives per player, as one you'll be playing and one you'll be sending off on the secondary missions, and you can make the choice who goes where each time. The dice pool you roll for the secondary mission is determined by a variety of factors, but this adds a fun layer of strategy as you'll need to decide which of your characters will better suit each mission, what mission you feel needs a stronger unit on the job, and so on. Missions have their own tags and types like extraction, stealth, sabotage, and so on that affect the goals and objectives for the mission. We then get to our performance review. This is the stage where the results of everything that happened throughout the missions is applied. On the successful primary missions, all operatives who survive get 1d6 plus 1 scrip, a currency used to buy items and other currencies and upgrades. They also get a bonus scrip if they manage to kill an enemy during the mission. If sadly you fail the mission, any survivors will only get a single reward scrip if they manage to take out an enemy on the way out. Survivors of the secondary missions are given 2 scrip. After all the scrip is rewarded, the manager, or GM, then adjusts any victory meters and threat levels. Now we get to the joy of being able to spend the scrip, and this is where we go on a big old tangent of how our characters progress. The first thing any first time survivor will be able to do is claim their career, the class system of the game. And this is how you further upgrade and specialize your character's playstyle. And the 4 careers are Vector, Hacker Rats, making use of tech, both their own and others, to conquer the battlefield. Trenchies, all the weapons, all the carnage. Mind Job, because sometimes you're a freak amongst freaks. And Ratter, a jack of all trades and the master of modern humanity, whatever that means in 2096. Each career has 3 skill trees that you can mix and match between to make some truly unique builds and playstyles, but you can only ever get 1 ability per row, making these choices matter. Now, script can also be spent on buying new gear, upgrading existing gear, certain abilities, upgrading attributes, HP, biotech, etc., paying off your debt, and upgrading your base. Oh, you have a base, by the way. Yeah, the base building is one of my favourite features of this, and oh my god, is it such a fun mechanic. You can spend script on construction pieces that are used to build new rooms in your base. These give both passive abilities to all your team members, unlocking new purchasable abilities and gear, and it's just a super fun way to help give new recruits a little boost when they are brought in to help against the tougher foes. However, there is a limited amount of rooms you can have, so you gotta choose wisely. Another way to spend script is trying to sabotage enemy factions and make future missions a bit easier. There's also the assistants you can buy. These are NPCs that can help out in primary and secondary missions, but every time you buy one, an enemy group gets their own adversary, the enemy equivalent, so you need to weigh that worth. We now enter the final step of the session, the downtime. This is where the bulk of the role-playing will occur. Your characters will interact with each other at the base and with other NPCs. And the book offers lots of questions that can help the cogs turn and flesh out how your character feels about what they've been through. Moving on to combat, the base combat makes use of the usual Lumen combat structure. Once more, I direct you to the Lumen video for a more in-depth explanation of the foundation, I'll be focusing on how they build upon that foundation here. In this game, we have 2 actions per turn. Some actions require a roll, in which case you choose the most appropriate attribute to use for said action, and play out the result. This varies from making weapon attacks with what you have equipped, to making your own actions as long as you can justify it to the DM. Actions you don't have to roll for includes things like reloading weapons, diving into cover, moving around the map, and helping your teammates. Whilst movement in this game does default to the Lumen range band system, this book does give advice and instructions on how to easily convert to a grid-based system. As mentioned earlier, death is a very real threat at any time in this game, but you don't go straight to the grave. When you fall to 0 HP, you become injured and will die within 4 turns unless before then the mission is completed, you are healed, or someone is able to carry you to the evac. And being injured is an issue. When injured, you won't be able to attend the next primary mission and have a disadvantage on the secondary. Moving from combat, whilst I won't go in depth, this book is an absolute treasure trove of GM resources and gives help every step of the way, from large amounts of enemy types to building missions to fabulous lore to help get you and your players hooked on a plot. Alrighty, conclusion time. If it wasn't clear from how much joy I've had talking about this game, I absolutely love it to pieces. XCOM has always been a fave game series of mine, and this game captures that same feeling perfectly. It's taken Lumen and built on it incredibly, going from the power fantasy to a light tactical thrill ride, where all of your choices matter and teamwork is greatly rewarded. I personally have a preference for grid-based combat, and I feel that really helps this game shine more with its tactics, so I'm really glad to see they included that section. It's definitely very video gamey, but in a way you don't often see in TTRPGs. But that gameness isn't going to be for everyone, and not everyone's going to vibe with being a cyberpunk rat. If you like fast-paced tactic games with base building and the ability to have multiple characters you build and upgrade, this is absolutely worth checking out. And don't you worry, the rats will return soon. Thank you all so much for watching. What do you think about Cyber Rats? Is it something you'd like to try out? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe to see future rats, and other games too I guess. I've been Deval, and I'll see you next time. Happy adventuring.